Welcome to my little urban garden. I'm Andrea, a small space gardener making the most of a rented space. Since we're not sure how long we'll be here at the place we're renting, I've mostly stuck with grow bags. They're pretty easy to move, perfect for container gardening, and perfect for small spaces. Today I'm working on weeding the potatoes. I foolishly put straw in, which did work last year in my defense. They must have changed up what product they were using, as last year I did not have this problem, but the straw had seed heads in it, and so there is grass growing everywhere. I do prefer to use mulch in my grow bags as they dry out so quickly otherwise. I've even tested the temperature of the soil and you can hardly touch it when there's no mulch, but underneath the mulch, when there is mulch, it's just a nice, comfortable warmth. So it is really important that I have some kind of covering on my bags. I'm just very disappointed this year that so much grass grew. A few things I've been loving that I did differently this year was a rain barrel I made out of a trash can. It's been nice having rainwater and not feeling guilty every time I put city water on my garden. And it's also nice to just pour out a bucket for my daughter and say, here's your watering can, go water these plants over here for me. I also took some wire and made potato cages, which I will show you shortly, and I'm experimenting with growing potatoes in those and just kind of seeing how they differ in there as far as yield-wise versus the grow bags. In January, it snowed here in Florida, which never happens, and the lizards are finally getting back to themselves. They were hit really hard, and it has been so sad finding the ones that didn't make it around the yard. And the fire ants are already out. Let's see how long I can avoid the bed. Now, these are the potato cages I was talking about. You can see I have heavy straw in them. The grass is actually not really growing on these. I don't know if it's because I mulched it so heavily. I just wanted to make sure I gave it as much moisture retention as possible since there is nothing around the edges other than the wire and the straw. I made the fire ants mad already. I didn't even step on their bed. I just walked near them. They are so feisty around here. As potatoes grow, there's something called hilling, which you normally do with a hoe. And since I have grow bags, I'm not going to be doing that with a hoe. I'm simply going to be pouring more dirt up and mounding up over the potato stems. You do it when they get about 6 inches above the soil, and not all of mine were that tall. I'm just kind of getting a good sense of how much they've grown. And as you add up the soil, you're going to do this 2 or 3 times in the growing season. The potatoes will grow more root systems, which will lead them to creating more potatoes for you. As I added more soil into the cages that needed it, I added more straw around just to help keep that soil in and help keep as much moisture in as possible. I'm trying to decide what to do for irrigation for these guys. I have some terracotta in-ground water pots and most of the grow bags in the backyard, and I also have some wine bottle terracotta spikes. With the way my garden is laid out, I'm not able to do like a traditional irrigation system, which I would love to do. So I may get some more terracotta spikes and just put one in each of these guys, as once the weather gets warmer, I am worried about how quickly they'll dry out, and sometimes watering once a day is not enough here in Florida when the temperatures get near 100 or higher. I also had a few potato plants in my grow bags that were ready to be hilled, so I went ahead and did those. I have a few of the plastic ones that have the little windows you can pull open. Personally, I've never liked those because the dirt gets in between the Velcro, and I find it just doesn't close until I take the dirt out and kind of wash it off, which I'm not going to do that when there's potatoes growing. These 3 pots are the remainder of my winter garden, and in these front pots I am getting ready to plant some pepper seedlings. I'm actually going to plant some seeds in 2 of these and try to grow them outside. I just do not have good luck when growing seedlings indoors with how my house is set up, and I have 2 cats and a toddler. I have to keep everything off the ground, so I was keeping it in a windowsill, and my cat decided he didn't care how many barriers I put. He was still going to get in there, and he made a mess, and so I just kind of threw all my seedlings outside and gave up, and I decided whatever makes it outside is what I will grow in this season of my life until I have a bigger house. And I just grew everything outside last year, and they seem to just be so much hardier. I am in Florida, so I do have a long growing season. A few other exciting things in my garden is my pea seedlings that are emerging. I need to get their trellis system situated in the next few days. And in this pot, I believe I have dill, borage, and marigolds. And this is my little wisteria tree. He's so cute. I'm so excited for him to bloom. So this year I decided to try 3 in-ground beds. I did one last year of the cement blocks, and then I have these 2 wooden planter boxes that I originally had started gardening with, and I've kind of merged towards other forms of gardening as the wooden beds actually seem to do worse, in my opinion, than the grow bags, and I'm really not sure why. Maybe it's because they're totally off the ground. These are the pots I'm planting the peppers in. So I'm going to do one pot that's jalapenos and one that's bell peppers. I think I am going to try to cover them with a little plastic container just to help keep in some moisture, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get out there and water them as much as they need to. And we're still early in spring, so we're not getting as much rain as we normally get. There are sometimes here in Florida where we get rain almost every afternoon, which it has its pros and cons. Sometimes it makes the fungus outbreaks really bad, and then other times it's like a relief where you don't have to get out and water your garden as much as you would have to otherwise. My problem with planting seeds is I always have too many or too little. So if I plant the right amount, then like half of them won't come up. But if I plant a few extra, it's like all of them come up and then some. And then I'm like trying to figure out where to put all these seedlings, because I cannot stand to throw away plants. I'm sorry. Those are my babies. I'm giving them all a fighting chance. Well, that is all I have for my video this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and check back in for more gardening updates.